This art by itself looks extremely disturbing, but the backstory behind it is even more disturbing than you could ever imagine. So this 2-image slideshow first starts off with a mugshot of a man by the name of Henry Lee Lucas, you might recognize it, and then an example of one of his most disturbing and creepy art pieces that he created while he was imprisoned. So for some context, Henry was born back in 1936, and to say that he had a very rough start to his life would be an understatement. His mother truly could not care less about him. She would regularly beat him over the head with a wooden plank. When one of his brothers stabbed him in the eye and it got infected, she refused to allow him medical attention, and she did many more horrible things that I can't even mention here. And as Henry started getting older but was still a young child, his mother would force him to cross-dress and then would act as his PIMP and sell him out to men and women alike. And this horrible upbringing is what paved the way for this man to become a very depraved individual who would also end up committing heinous actions. Fast forward to the year of 1954, and Henry would be looking at his first short 4-year stint in prison after being convicted of a dozen burglaries that took place in the Richmond, Virginia area. And these crimes, while bad, are nothing compared to the crimes he would later confess to. According to Henry, the first time he would ever commit the one cardinal sin was back in 1951 when he picked up a young girl in Virginia and she refused his advances towards her. He then stated that he accidentally lost it, ended up taking her life and disposing of her. Then in 1960, 9 years later, Lucas would strike again, except this time he would be delivering some justice to his mother. He was caught for this and sentenced to 40 years in prison, however only ended up serving 10 of these years before he was released due to overcrowding. And this would be a huge mistake that would cost lives, because in 1979, Henry would meet a man by the name of Toole, who he became very close friends with. Toole and Henry would then go on a 2-year spree from the years of 1979 to 1981, where they would primarily target people like hitchhikers, adult workers, and migrants. Eventually, though, Henry and Toole's spree would come to an end, not because of some exemplary police work, but instead because Henry was arrested for unlawful firearm possession, and he confessed to everything that he did while in custody. Because of the fact Henry confessed, he is oftentimes referred to as the confession killer, and over time he would continue to inflate his numbers. He stated at one point that he killed 3,000 people, which obviously is just simply not possible. Ultimately, he was convicted to 11 murders that he could be linked to, and he was given the death penalty, but this was later commuted to a life sentence. And in prison, Henry was quite the artist, having drawn multiple sketches and even getting into paintings. Henry created so much art in prison, in fact, that many of these pieces were auctioned off. You guys can see plenty of these photos behind me. He created a lot of art, seriously. In my opinion though, none of them quite compare to this one, which is the most creepy. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, drop a comment down below letting me know what you want to see next, and let me know what you think about the case.